As you probably know, Germany has taken more fake refugees than anyone in the current manufactured crisis, and to celebrate New Year, the new arrivals showcased their culture in the city of Cologne with a mass sexual assault of women. We discovered subsequently that this had happened in several cities and several countries and had been pre-planned and organised. We didn't find out about it for a few days though, because the police and the media tried to keep it quiet. They don't like to talk about Muslim sex crime as it sends the wrong message. It tells the truth. But thanks to the internet and the alternative media, now effectively the real media, people soon found out and they became angry. Angry at the politicians enabling this illegal mass Muslim invasion. Angry at the journalists who deliberately conceal its ugly consequences, especially for women. Angry at the double standards of the police who did nothing about the mass sexual assault but used water cannon and tear gas on the people protesting about it. And angry because Germany's first female chancellor has made her country and Europe significantly more dangerous for women in order to accommodate an army of hostile third world misogynists who have no legal right to be there at all and who laugh at the police because they know they can do what they like and they won't be deported. In many ways, the Muslim world today is at a similar stage of development as Europe was 500 years ago. Back then, women in Europe kept themselves covered up for the same reason Muslim women do today. Society was brutal, legal punishments were sadistic, beheadings were all the rage, and nobody batted an eye. Europeans took that mentality with them to the New World, where they were welcomed at first, until the natives quickly realised that these were savage people to whom might was right, who were a threat to anyone weaker or more peaceful, and who justified cruelty with superstition. Ring any bells? Since then, Europe has grown up and shaken off that mindset, but now our morally squalid and corrupt politicians are bringing it right back in again, wholesale, unfiltered, unchallenged, and illegally. As a consequence, our society is now measurably less safe and less civilized, and the rights of women are effectively negotiable. Any woman in Europe who favours mass Muslim immigration is an irresponsible fool who has no understanding of the nightmare she's bequeathing to her daughters and granddaughters. Those stupid women who had themselves photographed holding refugees welcome signs have had their naivety and stupidity deservedly immortalised now. Of course, hardly any of these migrants are refugees, and they're not welcome because they're not legal. Most of them are young, able-bodied men in no need of help from anyone, except maybe a little psychiatric help for their depraved attitude to women. And it's not good enough to say that not all Muslim migrants are rapists, so we have to behave as if none of them are. Theirs is a culture of rape, where a woman who isn't covered up is asking to be raped and then punished for adultery or murdered by her own family. It wasn't drunkenness or even hatred of the West that motivated these disgusting attacks. It was contempt for women. A contempt that's been bred into third world Muslim men from birth. And the evidence is there for us all to see in the Muslim world. In Egypt, more than 99% of women have been physically molested. The men see nothing wrong with it. It's part of their culture, whether we want to admit it or not. And the more of them we allow into Europe, the worse it's going to get. And women in Europe will become fair game and easy meat. That is the reality, women of Europe. I'm sure you will wake up to it sooner or later. It's just a matter of how many sexual assaults and rapes you're prepared to tolerate before you do. The public space is already no longer yours to enjoy freely. You have to modify your appearance now and be more careful about where you go and who you mix with. Even the feminists say so. You have to make yourself less visible to the predator, because we can't get rid of the predator, unfortunately, as it might infringe his subhuman rights. The moment third world Muslims feel stronger, they become a threat to everyone around them. Like Europeans 500 years ago, strength is the only thing they understand or respect. And the hundreds of thousands, soon to be millions of them flooding into Europe, they don't see strength, they see weakness. They see politicians and journalists afraid to tell the truth that's staring them in the face. They see police unable or unwilling to do their job and protect people. They see a soft touch, a society in denial, complacent, naive, soft-bellied, in decadent decline. And they intend to take full advantage of that, and full advantage of European women. And after every mass sexual assault, because this is now just the beginning, the authorities will huff and puff for a while and announce a new zero-tolerance policy that turns out to be the same old 100% tolerance, one-way tolerance, of course, the usual kind. Nobody will be deported. The illegal Muslim invasion will be allowed to continue. The rapes and the sexual assaults will continue. And politicians will continue telling us how unacceptable it is while continuing to accept it. As long as the people currently in charge remain in charge, nothing will change. The only way it can change, non-violently, is through the ballot box. Women comprise half the population. That's a lot of voting power. And they're not all self-hating progressive feminists. Most of them still have enough common sense to see what's needed and to know that they have it in their power to remove this predator from our society by electing people who will do the right thing for once, who will stop the invasion and close the borders and deport all illegal migrants and Muslim sex criminals, regardless of their so-called human rights. And if you think that sounds a little too harsh, the alternative is a million times worse. Because people are getting angry now and they're setting up vigilante groups all over Europe to do the police's job for them and defend themselves and their families. If this illegal Muslim invasion is allowed to continue unabated, as the politicians clearly intend, tribal war is coming to Europe, and then nobody will have any human rights, least of all women.